My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome back. We're just going to jump right in. We're doing Handbook of the New Paradigm, Volume 1, beginning back on page 103, session number 30. Today is Wednesday, August the 23rd, 2023, and it begins. The focus of these messages has been toward the dissemination of information that concerns the expansion of your understanding with regards to plans and appropriate attitudes and actions within group areas. There has been little information with regard to your personal experiences and application in that area. This was not to indicate that this area is of little importance. New Age information, better called New Thought, which could be categorized even more accurately as, quote, remembered thought, emphasizes the need to be balanced and chance, quote, be in the now. In actuality, that is correct. As previously pointed out, all of the cycles within the cosmos galaxy move toward and away from the center point of stillness or perfect balance. In order for the galaxy to be in balance, the cycles are moving within a balance of those moving away and those returning to each balance point. You could picture it as gyroscopes spinning and moving around a central gyroscope that remains in perfect balance and puts forth an energy pattern that holds all the smaller gyroscopes within its sphere of influence. Each gyroscope outside the central focus contains within it a myriad of smaller gyroscopes. In order for this entire system to continue in existence, there must be an equality of energetic motion. If one gyroscope gets far enough out of balance to approach a point beyond its ability to return, then counterbalancing must take place within the whole system, with the focus of holding it within the range of safety. This is, of course, an oversimplified picture, but gives you some understanding. It allows you to picture Earth at its tilt of 23 degrees, approaching a point of losing its ability to return to balance. If you consider that within the gyroscopic picture of Earth, there are 7+ billion tiny gyroscopes, each spinning on their own axis, the balance of these influences the balance of the larger one. If most of these are out of balance, then of course the larger one cannot remain in balance. Grasping this picture leads you to the understanding that the fourth universal law is that of balance. One pattern of thought that holds powerful influence in the balance or imbalance of personal expression is that of past, present, and future. Since all are necessary for various reasons of survival and progress, they are embedded within the ego observer mode. You remember the burn, and so do not touch the hot stove again. You desire to build a larger house for your family, so you envision the steps your future must contain in order to attract that experience. And so you migrate between the two. However, there is the moment of now that you experience that is not either past or future. That is your balance point. It is your place of rest. You return there during each sleep cycle. There was a time as the planet revolved in the cycle of light and darkness, all were active or resting in unison, which brought greater balance to the whole. With the advent of artificial lighting, this balancing pattern is no longer present. Mankind now has constant activity, first with the industrial age, now in the technology age. Even within the homes, the hours of rest within a family are varied. A balancing technique is practiced in what you call the Far East and is called meditation. The New Age group quickly adopted it. Techniques are often distorted, and the conscious awareness is overwhelmed with media clutter and unable to find the still point of balance within the combination of conscious and subconscious. Entering that still point allows for connection with the soul and balance to be reached for at least a short time. Balance is reached through the understanding and practice of the three basic laws of the universe: attraction, deliberate creation, and allowance. If you review the previous messages, you will find within the information suggests for resolving this problematic situation of the population of Earth. In order to live the new paradigm of experience, those participating will be required to focus within present time. Only the framework will be known, and it must be fleshed out through, quote, living it into existence. Boy, this is explaining an awful lot about the way Lisa and I feel drawn to move through life. Only the framework will be known, and it must be fleshed out through living it into existence, experience by experience. This will require living within present moment reality. Within this focused group experience, balance will be attained. The past cannot be applied, and the future will be unknown. That will leave only the present. Let us consider the galactic completion. Is it only a momentary instant that is available to accomplish a grand ascension, or a ghastly dimensional crash? That depends. Again, we return to your fixation of experiencing measured blocks of sequential events. Experience within what you call the present moment is a misnomer, an inapplicable designation. When you are focused into what you are thinking or doing with no awareness of any other activity, you, quote, lose track of time. Each of you has experienced that. Only by looking at your time tracking device called a clock do you have any idea of what the time might be, other than the presence or absence of sunlight. If each of you were totally intrigued with what you were doing, that was your only required focus, and there were no seasons to concern you, would you care what day it was? If that intriguing subject opened the door to another and another, would you care that what day or what time it was? I doubt it. If you were in balance, would sleep be necessary? What about food? What about recreational pursuits? Aren't all of these necessities really just a search for balance? This is not suggesting that you become breatharians. These are simply ideas to intrigue your imaginations. Your experiences are so far out of intended balance that it is difficult for you to imagine what balance during wakeful experience is like in third dimensional format. It is far more pleasant than you know. I kind of feel like I know what this is talking about here. Yeah, because it can be if one allows it. No wonder you desire to leave this dimension thinking that respite is only to be found elsewhere. Without balance of the third dimensional experience, you could not exist in higher dimensions in your body format and current self awareness. First, you must come into balance because you are all interconnected. Individuals have insurmountable problems maintaining balance, even if it is achieved. It is necessary to bring a large number into balance to accomplish what is necessary in the bigger picture. The Bible warns you not to place, quote, pearls of wisdom before those who have no viable connection to their source of life. It is time to strike that idea from the books. It is time to do another 180-degree turn and to do it in practical, applicable terminology. The pattern has always been to hide it within religious and esoteric terminology so that only a few were privy to the information, lest it be lost through individual interpretations that might destroy it. Without written words, for few were literate, allegorical stories were the only method of disseminating even the basic understandings. These contained references to activities and other commonly known and understood references that were within that local cultural environment. Even these basic understandings became distorted when the stories were retold in cultural situations that had no reference points to those original understandings. We find ourselves of necessity reintroducing the basics. A good place to begin, a new beginning. Don't you agree? Attraction, intention, and allowance, leading to balance through application within experience, a doctorate in those positively leads to ascension to higher dimensions. Welcome to the ascending team. And I'm going to jump right into number 31, but I got to take a slurp of this because, wow. Okay, number 31, page 106. We are entering the period of time that leads to the beginning of the shift of energies that will begin the days of tribulation. Unfortunately, some of the predictions that have been made reflecting the plans of the dark side will manifest. Though they seem to indicate that the situation is irreversible, it certainly is not. This will be a time in which it will be critical that those of you who are privy to the behind the scenes maneuvers, which you are a part, hold faithfully to the understanding and belief that they do indeed exist and are positively laying the foundation for the new paradigm. This new pattern of experience can be pictured as a shimmering castle coming forth amid a scene of frantic, confused activity. It is at first very dimly seen, though this is hardly the pattern of what the new paradigm will resemble. It instead draws upon the Camelot myth as a recognizable fantasy, continuing within it desirable dream-like ideals. containing within it desirable dreamlike ideals. It is a process of it rising through the mists of focused imagination amid what appears to be reality. This is the understanding that we desire to trigger. If you are not a Camelot buff, then choose some other picture. The Phoenix, perhaps, but choose for it to be transformed and to rise before the ashes stage. We would emphasize the recognition that the desirable already is manifesting before the undesirable has disintegrated. The focus of even a few with belief and knowingness that it does indeed exist and is coming forth is of critical importance. By choosing different pictures, but the same focus, then the process is held in place until the purpose is defined and becomes the ideal. Defining the purpose will not be an easy process. Many versions will be proposed before ideal wording can encompass it. This is meant to encourage ones to begin, for the first step must be taken so that progress can be made toward the goal of bringing it forth. It is brevity and the universal appeal of it within the diversity of 7+ billion beings that is the key. Though it seems impossible, we assure you it is possible. We remind you to ask for guidance and love. We remind you to ask for guidance and help at these sessions. Egos must be in their observer states, for the credit of writing will go to no one individual. It is the desire that it comes forth in perfection that must be the motivation. It shall stand alone in its purpose of encompassing the foci present on earth into a focus of expression into greater experience. Again, we remind you of the breathing process. It will be taken in by the conscious awareness, contemplated, and expressed outward through desire for its manifestation into each personal reality and held dearly while it happens. We wish it were other than a lifetime for drowning beings, but that is the experience you have created. It is through the approach to the universality of scope that the encompassing appeal shall be addressed. The focus on this aspect will begin to draw the feeling of oneness to the beings on the planet. A realization will begin to dawn that all are facing the same dilemmas, as the itchy feeling that something ominous is present continues to intensify this feeling. Keys understandings that the causes of it are beyond local, regional, or national scope. The oppression is being felt with greater and greater intensity. What about the indigenous peoples? As we have mentioned before, they already know. Their, quote, shamans already have the message and are aware that a new paradigm is being born. They are steps ahead of you and are already at work on its expression. Their people are aware and already in harmony with the process. Do not be concerned with them. Survival is their way of life. You may find yourself wishing you had incarnated into a more indigenous way of life in the days ahead. I did say may. Inasmuch as all have incarnated from the same source, you are indeed connected and do communicate at subtle levels. The mass consciousness, in parentheses, awareness is malleable through coercion, but always certain levels of it remain connected to the source. It is through these connections that we can achieve subtle changes that will lay the groundwork for future shifts at the conscious levels. The oppressors must work with the levels of the mind, while it might be said that we have available the levels of the heart. The heart feels. A feeling can transform the beliefs held by the mind. When the feeling vibrates within the being at a certain level, it overrides the belief, and the being simply tosses it out and follows the feeling to a new conclusion. The feeling of oppression is soon to override the insistence of the mind that all is well, and that big brother government will work things out to the benefit of all. Again, this was published in 2018. I think we're there at this point. The magician is about to lose his facade of darkness and be seen in the full light of recognition, and it may not be at the time of his choosing. Inasmuch as you live within time as your controlling focus, we must deal with it. The sequence of linking interfacing actions and events now enters a phase of critical importance. It is important that each of you feel the inspiration, the divine urge to push ahead with this project. The dominoes are in place, and it will take but a nudge for them to begin their sequential trip. The placement of the final few must be preempted in order that the dark plan is unable to be carried to its planned conclusion. If a critical few can be removed, then the planned sequence will go awry and glorious confusion will result. The perfect time for the new paradigm to rise amid that confusion. Its conception must, however, have been completed and the birthing process well underway at the subtle levels. It is difficult for the information contained in these messages to stress the importance of various facets without becoming repetitive. We also are aware that some are reading these words that have not had access to the prior information. Well, that would be us, me in particular. Thus, we attempt to make them at least somewhat inclusive. The window of time available to complete the second phase, that is focused toward the completion of the worded purpose, is continually shrinking. Therefore, we feel it necessary to continue to prod and poke, lest it close without its completion. Chaos would then indeed reign, and the birthing of the new paradigm could become imaginably difficult. The period of chaos could stretch on for a painfully long time in your counting. It is not this information that is important, and this is italicized and this part is underlined. It is the conception and completion of the writing of the purpose. We do not want this information on file in your Library of Congress. We prefer it to be exchanged on a personal need-to-know level. Now, I'm going to pause there for a moment because that's very interesting that it says exactly that. Knowing that this information came to me almost a full year ago, and I was not nudged to even really look at it. and I want to say more than a full year, maybe even 2. I was not even nudged to look at it. And then a while later, I saw something that nudged me to look into it. And I was nudged immediately to purchase the book. And then just only recently, I was nudged to begin recording it. So again, this is mostly for me. I probably wasn't ready to hear some of what it was being said. I'm going to read this again where it says, we prefer it to be exchanged on a personal need to know level. It is purposefully written so as to exclude words that trip the communication scanners so that it may yet spread easily to the chosen ones. We wish to be very clear about this. Our translator spends much time in the thesaurus mode looking for synonyms, so word patterns are varied within each document. What appears to be but a few paragraphs involves much dedicated attention to this facet of caution. The purpose of this information weighs heavily on this conscious awareness. However, commitment carries the process forward day by day. We are finding that commitment matched in like manner, by the readers of it, and are grateful indeed. It is your resolve to bring this new archetype of experience into being that holds the progress made in place so that the building of the pattern can continue. Visualize the pattern of a snowflake, only now beginning to crystallize from a drop of water. Just the very beginning of one corner of what will be a unique picture is happening. You are not only watching the creation of something uniquely beautiful, you are providing the focus that will cause it to happen. How could you avoid continuing to be an important part of this beautiful demonstration? I love that. Okay, well, we'll begin the next time right on session number 32, which is on page 109 if you're following along in the book, which I hope you are. We are, Lisa and I, going to arrange a book study group. We already have a group that has been going, and I believe we're going to just start this book next. It's actually 3 in 1. It's not as big as the My Big Toe. So we're going to do this one next, I believe. And if you're interested in doing that in company, we are going to reread it and discuss as we go. If you're interested in participating in that, reach out to consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. I hope that you will continue to move towards that which brings you the highest joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It is really just a matter of focus, really, and your perspective of your focus and the perception of your perspective of your focus. Mwah. Till we meet again, be well, my friends.